Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well, happy, and in good health. May God bless you with a long, prosperous life and protect you from all hardships. I pray for those who are struggling that their troubles ease, for the sick to find healing, and for those who've passed to rest in peace. Please keep me and my family in your prayers. Today, we're diving into a terrifying story that'll keep you on edge. From the title and thumbnail, you've probably guessed it's about a haunted apartment right here in the United States. This story is creepy from start to finish, so stick with me until the end. If you have your own spooky story to share, drop it in the description below. Hey everyone, I hope you're ready for something truly unsettling. My name is Easton and I'm from Chicago, USA. Today, I'm sharing a horrifying experience from when I moved into a fifth-floor apartment in a quiet corner of Chicago's North Side. I lived alone, and what I went through in that place still haunts me to this day. Let's get right into it. When I first moved into my new apartment, everything seemed perfect. The place had large, floor-to-ceiling windows with a stunning view of Chicago's skyline. The air was fresh, but it carried a strange chill that I couldn't quite explain. I loved the open space and the quiet neighborhood. On my first day, I was exhausted from moving, so after a quick dinner, I went to bed early. But in the middle of the night, I was woken up by a strange sound. Tap, 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 like someone walking across the hardwood floor with slow, deliberate steps. I sat up, my heart pounding, and checked the entire apartment. There was nothing, no one. I told myself it was just my imagination, maybe the building settling or my tired mind playing tricks. I went back to sleep, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Days passed, and I settled into my routine, out for work in the morning, back in the evening. I worked long hours at an office downtown, so I was rarely home. But soon, strange things started happening. My laptop would power on by itself, its screen glowing in the dark even though I was sure I'd shut it down. The kitchen faucet would start dripping, then gushing water despite being turned off. One night I was working late on my laptop when a file on my bed fell to the floor. I froze, my pulse racing. I picked it up, placed it back carefully, but moments later it slid off again as if someone had pushed it. I tried to convince myself I'd been careless, but deep down I knew something was terribly wrong. The incidents grew stranger and more frequent. I started feeling watched, like unseen eyes were boring into the back of my head while I sat in the living room. I'd turn around, but there was never anything there. The feeling lingered, heavy and oppressive. One night, as I tried to sleep, I heard faint, raspy whispers coming from under my bed, like someone was calling my name. I bolted upright, my heart hammering, and checked under the bed, around the room, everywhere. Nothing. I turned on every light, inspected every corner, but the apartment was empty. Sleep didn't come that night, and the fear started to settle in my bones. I confided in my coworker and friend, Umair, about these unsettling events. He laughed it off, saying I was watching too many horror movies and that living alone in a new place was probably messing with my head. But I knew this wasn't my imagination. To clear my mind, I stayed at a friend's place for a few days. When I returned, the apartment felt different, heavier, like a weight pressing down on me. The rooms were colder, despite the heater running full blast. Then I heard a loud crash from the kitchen. I ran in and found a glass shattered on the floor. I hadn't left anything out. Nothing that could have fallen. As I stood there, the kitchen light flickered, then went out completely. I stood frozen, terrified, my breath catching in my throat. The disturbances escalated. Doors would creak open on their own in the middle of the night, the hinges groaning like a warning. Lights flickered like they were alive, turning on and off in a rhythm that felt deliberate. Sometimes, I'd feel a weight on my bed, like someone or something was sitting right beside me. I'd lie there, too scared to move, feeling the mattress dip under an invisible presence. One morning, while brushing my teeth in front of the bathroom mirror, I saw a tall, shadowy figure in the reflection behind me. It was dark, almost black, with no face, just a shape that seemed to absorb the light. I spun around, but there was nothing there. When I looked back at the mirror, it was still there, staring. I ran out of the apartment and didn't return until daylight. The worst moment came one night when I was lying in bed. The doorbell rang at 2 a.m. No one visits that late, especially on the 5th floor. My heart pounded as I hesitated, then opened the door. The hallway was empty. This happened night after night, the bell ringing but no one there. I checked the wiring, it was fine. Then I noticed something far worse. Footprints on the floor, large and unnatural, leading from the front door straight to my bed. They weren't human. Too big, too wrong, with an odd shape that made my skin crawl. I scrubbed them away, but the next morning they were back, clear as day. One night I heard whispers again, clearer this time. Easton. Easton. In a low, guttural voice that didn't sound human. I started reciting prayers, my voice shaking, and the whispers slowly faded. But the fear didn't. Another time, I saw handprints smeared across the window, as if something had tried to claw its way in from 5 stories up. I blinked, and they were gone. The apartment wasn't just creepy anymore. It felt like something was trying to drive me out, like it wanted me gone. The disturbances became relentless. Dishes would crash off shelves, scattering across the kitchen floor in the dead of night. The TV would turn on to static, hissing and crackling like it was alive. My bed would shake like an earthquake was hitting it, while the rest of the room stayed perfectly still. I'd grip the sheets, feeling the frame tremble beneath me, my heart racing. One night, I saw a shadow on the wall, a humanoid figure with its head tilted at an unnatural angle, moving like it was alive. I flicked on the light, and it vanished, but I could still feel its presence lingering in the air. Then there were the smells. Faint at first, like something rotting in the kitchen, but when I checked, nothing was there. The odor would vanish when I left the room, only to return later, stronger, like decaying meat. I'd search every cabinet, every corner, but find nothing. One evening, I was putting files in my closet when I felt a cold gust of air from inside, like something was breathing in there. I slammed the door shut, but it creaked open again, and I heard a deep, heavy sigh from within. My pulse skyrocketed, and I backed away, too scared to look inside. The breaking point came when I woke up to find my bedroom door wide open, even though I'd locked it. I always locked it. I always locked it. On the floor were wet, child-sized footprints leading from the door to the wall, where they just stopped, as if something had walked through or into the wall. I couldn't stay there anymore. My routine was in shambles. I couldn't focus at work, and I hadn't slept properly in weeks. The constant fear was eating away at me, and I felt like I was losing my grip. I called my friend Alex, who suggested I contact a religious scholar. I found one, and he came to inspect the apartment. His face grew grim as he walked through the rooms, feeling the air, listening to the unnatural silence. He told me this place wasn't just haunted, it was a center of dark, negative energy that could harm anyone who stayed too long. He warned that it could even take a life if I didn't leave. That was all I needed to hear. I started looking for a new place. Somewhere near my office. Somewhere normal. It took a few days, but I found a new apartment that felt right. The night before I moved out, the apartment went mad. Books flew off shelves, crashing to the floor. Windows rattled like they'd shatter. The air grew so heavy it was hard to breathe, and a deep, oppressive silence swallowed everything. I recited prayers, my voice trembling, grabbed my bags, and ran. I spent that night in a hotel, too scared to stay another minute. The next day, I left that apartment forever, vowing never to return. Looking back, I still don't know what was in that apartment. Was it a ghost, a spirit, or some kind of dark entity? The fear stayed with me long after I moved out. Even in my new place, I'd wake up at night, heart pounding, thinking I heard those whispers or felt that cold air. It made me question whether a place can hold on to something so dark that it changes you forever. I started praying more, keeping my faith close, because whatever was in that apartment wasn't human. If you've ever lived somewhere that felt wrong, you'll understand. It's a feeling that lingers, like a shadow you can't escape. I'm just grateful I got out before it got worse. Sometimes I wonder if that apartment is still there, waiting for its next tenant, and what they might go through. That was my story, folks. If it gave you chills, share it with your friends. What do you think it was? A ghost, a spirit, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you've got your own spooky story, share it with us. We'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for all notifications so you can join our horror story family. Take care, keep us in your prayers, and I'll see you in the next creepy tale. Goodbye.